Yeah, we are here. Shaheen Reed to walk through Memorial Day weekend. We having a good time. Um, man, I'm just loving all of these NBA playoff games. Eating some good food, listening to some good music. DMX album is out. We waiting for that Lloyd Banks album next week. We having a good time. Today, or I should say tonight, we got one of my favorite guys in the whole music industry, Van Rock, Naughty by Nature, and he is gonna talk about not just music, but he has a new business venture, Money Avenue. And if anybody knows anything about Naughty and Vinnie, he's always just had one of the keen business minds, man, and we're gonna break some of that stuff down. We know him as being uh, one of the greatest on the stage, one of the greatest at getting the crowd into it. But he's one of the greatest when it comes to the business on the low, or maybe not the not so low if you're paying attention. So without further ado, we got my man Vin Rock, and he has a special guest with him, my man A. Donahue. There we go. A. Donahue Baker, one of Vin's business partners. Okay, here we got Uncle Vinny coming back on too. Don, you gotta take your mic off mute. There we go. There we go. Vin, what up, bro?
What up, Big Shot? How you doing, man? And welcome,
Great,
Big
man.
Jonathan Baker.
There we go. There we go, man. Usually when we got Vinny on, we either got him with one or two of his partners, Mr. Tretch. Um, our family ties is not with Mallory. We love Tretch. Man, I talk real quick about Tretch, man. So many Naughty by Nature songs I listen to, and I got to turn them joints off within the first 30 seconds because Tretch is saying just craziness and blowing my mind. And I'm like, hold up. Stop the tape. Stop the cassette. Cause I go back to cassettes with Naughty. Hold up, stop the cassette. He did not say family ties now in Mallory. Let's rewind it. Let's bring it back. Then of course, Vin is also with the great KG, one of the greatest producers ever. Jaheim, Next,
Next,
Biggie,
yeah.
so many. Rotten Rascals, so many, of course, Naughty. But Vin, man, you got a new partner with you today. I've been hearing a lot about this Money Avenue. Let's get into that right from the start because it's summertime. People need money. I'm hearing everything about this cryptocurrency and everything, and it's just so many ways that people are talking about getting this bread. And but you're doing something to uplift the community. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, who we have here is my partner, A. Donahue Baker. He's one of the co-founders of Money Avenue Financial Services. So, it's a digital financial services. We got to be clear that it's not necessarily a bank, eventually we'll get to that, but digital financial services. And he and his partner, Will Mingo, I met them through mutual friends. We've been rocking out for the past few years. And, these are very intelligent brothers. These are the guys off the grid. Usually in our, world and in the hip hop community, we see the rappers, the singers, the producers, even the label owners. But on the back end of that, we're not necessarily exposed to the financial consultants, the investors, the people who own real estate, the people who are into different things. So, I've been blessed to be connected with Money Avenue. There's a team of intelligent minority brothers, man, that specialize in certain or various verticals of financial services. And, we're really rolling this out and lending these services to the community because unlike traditional financial services or even if you go into a bank, a lot of our people are usually intimidated by the services or by the loans they get or don't get. And, we tend to shy away. But, like with this Money Avenue situation, we have very well educated, very well informed brothers who are here to, reach out to the community, thoroughly explain these financial assets or the financial tools to just bring us up on board, man, and get on board and teaching us how to really not only spend but treat our money, because we generate a lot of income. We tend to just send it back out one way, but now we have an entity where we could do a lot of financial literacy. And I think that's the key to this whole thing, and really the reason why I locked in with Money Ave, so we could address this financial literacy issue that we have going on in our community and in our culture.
Nah, that's really dope, man. And Vin, I'm sure A Donahue as well, man. You guys can attest to how many guys and ladies that we didn't met from back in the days. And Vin, I'm even talking about some of the rappers you may have come across, um, some of the street figures from Jersey you may have come across, and they got $500,000 and they don't really know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't, blew it. After they didn't got the houses and the cars, they still might be sitting on 500 or even 250, and they don't know what to do with it, and they just waste that money. And that money from back then could have turned into millions by now. So let's talk about Money Avenue, A Donahue. Like, what's some of the services and how did you guys even start it?
Well, we definitely connected, like Vince said, through just just being from the same spot, being from Jersey, really, and just with a mission as well, right? So Vin has been instrumental throughout the years, just being connected to the community, and that's really what we're trying to do. Like Money Avenue is a full platform. We consider ourselves the pathway to building generational wealth, and it works just like this. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone that's looking to build generational wealth, what we have is a banking platform. You can come on, open a bank account with us, and the bank account is literally free, right? You can find our bank account at moneyavenue.com, but you open a bank account with us, and at that particular point in time, we give you a whole series of services to build your business. So for example, if you have an LLC, we get every LLC at least $50,000 of business credit, and we want you to use that money to prove the concept of your business. And let's say you do prove the concept of your business. What we do on top of that, which other financial institutions don't do, is we invest in startups. We invest in businesses that are looking to scale. It's been a major piece of what we've been trying to put forth, is that we want to just empower creators, people that create, people that also are looking to build wealth. That is one of the key things that we're looking to do. So, you touched on it before. We know a lot of people in our community that have money, but that's not wealth, right? So what we want to do is understand that there's a number of millionaires. Actually, it's 16.5 million millionaires in the world today. Every 48 hours, there's a billionaire that's being created. Our goal is to tap in to the source of that wealth creation and bring it into our community, right? So people that are, hip hop is one of the drivers of everything that makes things happen. And we just want to give people the opportunity where they can plug in and get funding. And that's really, I think, the game changer. And then, and the rest of the Money Ave crew is really instrumental in making that happen.
And
No, that,
we're using that industry wide as well. I mean, come on, Shy, you've been an entrepreneur, your entire career, and I'm sure you inspire others. So I'm sure that you've been well versed. You've interviewed tons of people, so we can assume that you're financially literate. But when it comes to the new guy who's been inspired by you, they get their little vlog up or their YouTube channel up, and they do have proof of concept. Now you could come to a spot like Money Ave and show what you've been doing and get the support where, traditional banks may or may not support you in those efforts.
nah, it's so important, man, because we see it on the news every day, man. These guys and these ladies going to jail for scamming and all of these loan scams and everything. So it's important that the people that really are trying to and these scammers, they giving bad names to the people that's really trying to do legitimate things. So it's great to have an avenue like Money Avenue where people could go and really get their business off of the ground, because you have so many talented guys and women, but they go to the traditional bank. They see this, and
Yeah,
they
and
going
and it
under the tent.
becomes either blatant discrimination or predatory lending, you know. So with Money Ave, we're here to really level that playing ground, and you have guys who could thoroughly explain the pros and cons of taking certain loans and just strategizing, you know, your financial health moving forward for your business.
Absolutely. Hey Donnie, tell me about your background, man. Like how you like really became, um, astute in the financial area.
Absolutely. Believe it or not, I started in the music game, and I'm a producer, Grammy nominated producer. I produced Music Soul Child, and that was really my introduction into music. But I became a CPA years later, and during my travels as a CPA, my focus was really to help people build wealth. And
Hey
one of
Don,
the
I'm sorry. Before you go forward, I think you got to dig a little deeper because you're with Shaheem Reed. He's just a hip hop encyclopedia, man. You come from the days of Redhead Kingpin, man,
oh
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna ring a bell
Pump
to
it, Hottie. Pump it, Hottie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I, Shaheed, my man. Listen, we
Come on,
so
man. I
even
know
before
about
that,
Redhead
we started.
Kingpin.
We started under Teddy Riley. Actually, that's in the early '90s. Was signed to GR Productions. Teddy Riley, Gene Griffin, and I was part of the FBI crew with Redhead Kingpin. And you mentioned Pump It Hottie. I'm, right at the end of that thing, that record. He mentions, my name in that record. And one of the things that we started was we saw people get a lot of money from music quickly, and they bought things like cars and jewelry. And one of the things I really wanted to do was figure out a way how we can make our money last forever. And that's really
Right.
one of the big things that we wanted to put forth. And so from music, I parlayed that into education. I went to Georgetown University. I became a CPA, and I focused on helping particularly entrepreneurs, but also a lot of, I represented a number of executives. I represented a couple athletes as well, and helped them to take their money and multiply it. And that's like what I consider my life mission, and that's what I want to do at Money Ave, and do the same thing. Just help people to create that generational wealth. I've been a really big proponent, and the easiest way I think to create generational wealth is through real estate. And one of the things that I did, and just a quick example of how everyone can create real estate, is I have a 3-year-old son. His name is Legacy. Legacy, when he's 3 now, but when he was 2, I basically acquired a 6-unit apartment building and put it in his name through a trust. That apartment building is going to do 2 things for Legacy. Number one, when he's old enough to go to college, it's going to pay for his college education fully. But if he chooses not to go to college, the second option that it's going to have is residual income for him every single month. And this is what we need to tell our community to do. You don't necessarily have to be a millionaire to create generational wealth, but what you need to do is stop trading dollars for time. And at Money Ave, we have platforms and strategies to help you do just that.
Now, real estate is amazing, and it's funny. I just was watching the news. This had to be last week, and it was a black woman that came on, and she was saying that she had to actually send one of her white friends to get her house appraised because she had got a house appraised by somebody, and they gave her a certain price, and then she sent one of her Caucasian friends, and they appraised the house at 7 times more than what it was originally appraised from.
Shaheed, I was just peeping that. I was just, it happened a number of times. One of the cats in LA, I was on a show with the one of the co-hosts for CNN, Ariva Martin, did a show about that. And I was one of the panelists on that show. And just by the appraisal value, they lost out on about $200,000, $300,000 on a house in California. And this is what happens in our community. It's like you may not think, all right, I own $1 million home, but just the evaluation from $1 million to 1.5, it's a big chunk of money that goes out of our community. Just little things like that. The redlining, just the discrimination that exists within the industry, it's a big deal, right? So we definitely want to shine a spotlight on all of that. And at the bank, what we want to do is help people to get into ownership, and not only get into ownership but thrive and flourish in it. One of the things that I love to do is I love multi-family homes because it's one of the ways in which you can just create passive income. You necessarily don't need a lot of money to start. There's a simple way to do it, the FHA program, where you can get into a home for as little as 3.5% down. And if you have a four family, let's say your home costs $200,000. That's less than 15,000, 10,000. You can get a multi-family home. So I believe that your first purchase should be a multi-family home, and that's one of the key ways in which you can build generational wealth, and then eventually get the dream home, right? But you use the multi-family income to qualify for a dream home, a house that you can live in forever.
Van, let me ask you this, man. I want to get into some of the history because I was telling the people before I brought you on that you're one of the guys that have always been just ahead of the curve business wise, especially when it comes to entertainment. First album, as you, I don't know if you could see it, but I got a bunch of albums behind me that just inspired me in life and my career. I definitely got that first Naughty up there. You see it right next to MJB.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, one of my favorite joints, man, on my wall of fame. But what was it like for you guys, man? Because you just coming out the gate, one of the biggest songs ever in history. I would be thinking the money was coming in for you guys pretty quickly once the train got rolling with OPP, even before the album dropped. What was you guys doing with all of that bread, man? I don't
Well,
see.
I would think, Shy, is that, even prior to making the music money, I mean, we were street kids. So,
Right.
as successful as we've been blessed to be in the music industry, say management skills.
Mhm.
So once we got into the music industry and we were blessed to blow with and it wasn't like an overnight thing because, as you know, we were a group called the New Style prior
Right.
to, signed to Joey and Sylvia Robinson. So all along those days, we were navigating our way out of the streets into the music industry. And I think that entire situation was a blessing for us because we didn't blow like we thought we would. So that situation forced us to go back to the drawing board. Whatever we were doing financially, odd jobs, whatever it was, it helped us navigate and finance our way until we locked in with Flavor Unit. So once we blew with OPP, the first single, the first album, and all of that money was coming in, we weren't the typical guys that never had money and didn't know what to do with it. We were kind of cultured, with having things. So for us, it was about, again, helping out the other homies, helping out our community who, supported us and invested in us. So we've always had that kind of vibe. And I'm sure yourself and a lot of our industry peers received that from us. It's like, yo, Naughty is not out here just flashing cars and jewelry. Like, Naughty is more of a movement, and they're
Mhm.
coming with the entire community. And we always rolled that deep. So we were always trying to figure out ways where we could sustain our crew, where we could invest in our crew, or we can invest in, assets that would help our crew, which is why we ended up doing the Naughty Gear store, because we said that, well, coming off the block, yeah, we could tour and we could bring as many people as we wanted, on the tour bus. But if we were to set up a store, and we were inspired by Spike's joint in Brooklyn, we were inspired by Eazy-E and Public Enemy, by just having to pull out merchandise in the album and cassette covers, So we were inspired by those and said that, well, when we're on tour, we can employ people, and when we're home, or even if we're gone, we have an entity where we can employ people, keep the merchandise going, and then this leads into other things like real estate. Like I tell Don, we've been invested in REITs, real estate investment trusts, on the West Coast since 1993. And that's been one of our safest, most lucrative, residual incomes, besides our music royalties, publishing, and things like that.
Yeah. Would you say that um the outside business ventures are more lucrative than the music?
Well, COVID has taught me that, this music thing that we do is it's such a blessing, man. I mean, Naughty by Nature, we've been through our ups and downs, and perhaps we have about 5 to 6 albums in the can, which we should definitely have about 20. But the residual income from our mechanicals, from the record sales, and our publishing, and even we went under the hood during COVID, those assets are so lucrative. And I just explained this to Don, to KG, Don. I'm like, well, our asset, just the mechanicals on our royalties alone, is like a 100-unit building. Then our publishing is another 100-unit building. Well, those assets by default are going to continue to increase in value, but yet they pay out in royalties. So those royalties are like our rental incomes. You see what I'm saying? And there's far less overhead on there. You don't need a super. You don't need a property manager. You don't have to fix this, that, and the other. However, when it comes to real estate, it's definitely lucrative businesses. But when you're talking about music and music publishing, man, that's one of the greatest blessings we could ever have, which will allow us, to invest in other real estate projects, any other project you want. You have a solid foundation to, again, build generational wealth. And that's another thing I explained to Kay. It's like, we see a lot of cats cashing out publishing, cashing out their royalties, but those are the assets that are going to grow exponentially worldwide as other countries, third world countries, get on the grid and they get cell phones now. And as the music industry chase down, and the unions chase down our fair due, as more people come online, our assets are going to grow and generate income exponentially. And those are the assets you keep and you put into your portfolio. So when you hand those down to your kids, it becomes a part of your estate. And hey, that's where our 40 acres and a mule are basically here. You just have to pay attention to what's going on right now. And I think that we're in a culture where we're making so much money and we see so many people just throwing away that disposable income, that this conversation that we're having right now is more important than ever. We're not saying don't have fun, but definitely invest in the foundation so you do have that generational wealth. And when you are throwing it up, there's tons more where that comes from.
I'm so happy
And
that yeah.
Shaheed, I have to definitely also just piggyback off of what Vin said, because with the
Okay.
Naughty by Nature brand, Vin hasn't talked about it yet, but they jumped into NFTs, which is a whole nother stream of income. And a lot of our community needs to tap into that technology, and Vin is at the forefront of that. And that you're going to be hearing his name so much in the up and coming months to years on what they're doing with the Naughty store. I don't know if if Vin wants to talk about that a little bit. I think it's amazing. I want to give you the opening, Vin, to talk about that because it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, in this NFT space, in the cryptocurrency space, it's evolving, shine to the metaverse, and I think it's going to be very, important to your business of what you're doing. So I know, Jim Jones hit me the other day. He inboxed me, and he's into this space too because he's like a tech head. So in this cryptocurrency space, in the NFT space. Now we're going into the metaverse, and even Facebook is invested in the metaverse, and that's virtual reality, XR, MR, and it's just a more immersive way of people engaging each other, especially when things like the pandemic comes through. So we're building out our virtual universe by way of the Oculus Quest 2 headset and AltSpace VR in particular. So these spaces are the new spaces where we'll be able to have our virtual Disneyland. Shy, you'll understand that better. It's like a virtual Disneyland where you build out a mansion, you could build out an island, you could build out your own real estate. And just like Disneyland, instead of you having to lay out that money to physically build it, it's all virtual for fractions of a dollar or fractions of the cost, and then you can invite your international audience to come and play in that space. So
Wow.
these are just some of the things that we're doing. We're so ahead of the game. We're working with Microsoft. I just spoke with Microsoft the other day. They're going to partner with us, and they're only partnering with a few people, actually, one of which is the Universal Hip Hop Museum. So they
Yeah.
understand that I understand the technology, and this stuff is definitely, like the wave of the future. So our rollout will be August, September, but oh God, I can't wait to roll this thing
And
out, man.
and
It's
and
great.
in this virtual reality space, will it to take it even further? Will it be room for festivals now? Because we see that the festivals are opening up, where you have to physically go to Miami for Rolling Loud, or you got to go to Philly for Made in America. But we'll have like a Naughty by Nature curated festival in this virtual space.
Absolutely, because again, one of the things where a lot of people get boxed out, and you realize this, Shy, that you have the major corporations, Live Nation, AEG, and if you're not signed to a major label, you get boxed out and never get to see the light of day to perform at these major festivals. So in these spaces, absolutely, and this is why we created, Illtown Sluggers and our Slugger Music platform, so we can put on a lot of independent artists, and it's music discovery. Shy, this whole thing is about music discovery. Where do you find the new artist? Where do you find the new producer? Where do you find the new talent? So in these spaces, we could definitely, do that. And as a matter of fact, Microsoft, that was part of, I'm under NDA, but that's part of the thing. Ticketed events in that space. I mean, that is a given besides everything else, but it's a given. Ticketed in-app experiences, so everyone can, monetize their own individual spaces. So in the future, in a nutshell, everyone will be able to have their own Disneyland, their own White House, their own Elvis Presley Graceland, or Michael
Wow.
Jackson Neverland Ranch, and your fans will be able to come in that space and do whatever they want to do, whatever
That's
you
incredible.
have as an offering.
Vin, do you still have aspirations about doing stuff on Broadway? Because I remember this was even years before Hamilton came out. You was talking about doing like a hip hop play where they would be doing like some rapping and stuff like that on Broadway. Is that still a goal?
Well, and it's funny you brought that up because back in the day we weren't working with the Rock of Ages crew. So the Rock of Ages was a crew of guys who invested in Broadway. They had that show on Broadway, and Rock of Ages eventually went on to have a movie, and they had international,
Yeah, it was dope.
shows going around, and they wanted to duplicate that for hip hop. However, what I learned, and especially in this VR space, is that, you know, I met a person who built out a Broadway type theater. And since COVID, they shut down Broadway, and a lot of those actors became avatars, and they put on a Lion King in VR. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I saw that and I'm like, yo, all of this is viable. And it's like a lot of people who may have an idea for a Broadway play, but just can't get it off the ground. And those are very lucrative endeavors. Now, in this VR space, if you have the proper talent, you could build out your own theater, build out your own Broadway, go up with your show. As long as you have your talent, you can literally break your own show and eventually get on Broadway as proof of concept. So yes, everything is on the table. And, it's not just like this metaverse is strictly for Naughty by Nature. We're just using Naughty by Nature as a case study, but we're an agency. So we'll be able to lend our services and technology to virtually anyone in this space.
My goodness, this man is so ahead of the curve. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, the thing that I always appreciate about you is that you've always thought ahead. Even when you guys are red hot flaming in music, you obviously was thinking about, okay, well, what's going to happen life after music. There's so many artists that think if they got the number one streaming or number one song on the Billboard, that it's going to last forever. And for a chosen few, it does. The chosen few, they keep going on. You think about Drake. I don't think Drake is going to stop in the next 20 years at least. But you've always had that plan. Even when I was looking at that concert, I was telling you I was watching a concert with you guys in 92. Um, everybody had on Naughty gear.
Right.
Like y'all was only like 1 year in the game, and everybody had the merchandise and everything. What's some of like the growing pains and things that you learned early on from doing the merchandising and everything with the
Well,
Naughty gear?
I would just say in general, it's the corporate neglect. I just happened to have a meeting yesterday, and Wah from the Rough Riders was in that
Mhm.
meeting, and I explained to them, I'm like, yo, hip hop never gets that respect. Like when we were red hot, we had companies come at us, give us all the clothes we wanted on earth because they knew we sold millions of copies and we were touring all over the place. But when we approached them to do a real deal, oh no, we don't do those kinds of deals. Those are only for athletes or whatever, whatever. And that's what forced us to be more independent. I was just telling Why about that with Rough Riders. I'm like, yo, it's literally disrespectful that Harley Davidson doesn't have a Rough Riders edition motorcycle or a Suzuki or even a Jeep, and it's like the culture, they just tend to rape and disrespect our culture, which makes us go within. And even when we come within, there's still that level of disrespect and just blatant racism in the game. So that's been one of the hurdles and stepping stones, but it makes you go within, it makes you invest in yourself. And this is why, where we've come as a culture, not only do we not have to worry about what they give us or what they want to partner with us on, now we can take our cultural, we call it cultural clout. We could take our cultural clout. Now we could come to Money Ave. Now we could come to our banks and our own financial institutions, and we could literally bank on ourselves. I tell KG this all the time. It's like, okay, you got to think every time you go to some company and say, hey, let's partner, and I'm going to give you equity in my intellectual property, my creativity, or my IP. I'm like, hey, We do so much business, not only every year, but we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. We push through so much money through our commercial banks that we should have a commercial line of credit just based on our business alone that should reach $100 million right now. So there shouldn't even be the conversation of going to anyone, whether we want to do television and film, whether we want to create cars or motorcycles, anything we want to do, we should be able to go to our financial institutions, bank on ourselves, have a line of credit, pay that line of credit back, and then be successful as we know we will be. Other than that, you're banking against yourself saying, hey, after 30 years, I have a new venture, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, but my insulation is going to someone to put up money, giving them equity, putting them in my pocket, and now they have equity in a 30-year proven brand. Makes no sense at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And these are the things that some of these billionaires they bet on themselves. Don, I want to ask you, man, a message that you would give to somebody that might be sitting on some money and have a great idea, but is just on the fence about betting on themselves or investing in themselves.
Well, number one, understand this is like you gotta take risk, and right, you have to be. For me, it's about entrepreneurship, right? It's really all about being in control of your own destiny. So if you got some money, think of how you can scale, create a scalable product. There's a book out there called 1,000 True Fans. All you really need is to have one, whether it's music, whether it's business, whatever it is, all you really need is 1,000 true fans. If you could get 1,000 true fans, you can earn a sustainable living. You might not be a millionaire, but you can at least make 6 digits if you're giving value to people, because those 1,000 true fans will buy a t-shirt from you. They'll buy a book from you. They'll buy a course from you, right? There's a way in which you need to get from the mindset of trading time for dollars, right? That's really the thing. And be a creator. And if you're a creator, the sky's the limit, because what's happening right now is in Silicon Valley, the number one wealth creation in all of history is happening right now. You got people that are coming up with ideas, and in less than 3 or 4 years, they're becoming billionaires just from ideas and simple execution. They're becoming billionaires by creating apps, by creating startups. This is what we need to have hip hop really think about, right? Because I know there's no more creative force than that, than hip hop, right? The way that we've seen it, and right now it's just an honor to work with people like Vinnie and his network and Naughty and all of what they're doing, because they were the pioneers. I don't know about any other hip hop group that came up with the logo, not only the logo, but a mascot. Like Slugger, to me, it's like that. Just, you need to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame just because of Slugger. Like, he came up with the marketing, the branding, the image, everything behind it, but it's something that can be scaled. So we need to start thinking in that mindset. How can we create scalable businesses? And that's really what I want to leave with people, that, if you're a creator, if you're out there, if you're of the hip hop culture, you're sitting on gold. If you look at all the billion-dollar unicorns, the billion-dollar companies that have came out in the past 5 years, they've leveraged our culture, and it's time that we start to leverage our culture.
And I would like to add to that too, Sha, because I think with piggybacking up for what Don said, one of the phrases I hear in our culture, like, oh, you don't need a formal education. It's unfortunate that education at a certain point became a predatory, sector and predatory institutions. However, without that formal education and without studying the right things and going in to study the right things, you can be left behind, because everyone in Silicon Valley, and this is what, my involvement in Naughty by Nature has leapfrogged me into some of the best tech talent who are coders. They code in Unity, they build on blockchain. They're able to create their own blockchain. So me, as a not even a college educated guy, just because I'm interested in this space and I have that cultural clout as Naughty by Nature, I'm able to connect with some of these people where, if you hired them, you can't talk to them for less than $100,000. So when it comes to our educational system, when it comes to, STEM and the sciences, we absolutely need to double down on these, because we don't need to be the end user of Black Twitter. We don't need to be the end user of Facebook or the end user of Instagram and create,
Or
verses
Clubhouse.
or Clubhouse. We don't need to create the hype on top of it like verses. We need our people to actually build these platforms, then create verses, then set Twitter on fire and Clubhouse on fire. So that formal education is very important. And I think, Don, we spoke about this the other day when we were hanging out. It's like, the infrastructure is there, the educational infrastructures are there. It's about changing the curriculum now. You know what I'm saying? We have the information, we have these curriculums. So if the old system wasn't working, now it's up to us. This is what we're tasked with. And this is what Money Ave is about, financial literacy. So now it's time for us to go in there and change the curriculum, embed new curriculum in these financial institutions, and definitely encourage our people to go into these institutions and learn formally, because there's literally thousands of years of trial and error, thousands of years of studying to get us where we are right now. So you definitely can't just wing it and think you're going to figure it all out. You'll always be disadvantaged with a formally educated person.
For each of you, just give me your thoughts on people that might be thinking about investing heavily into cryptocurrency at this state and time.
I would say crypto. Go ahead, Don. You want to go first?
Yeah, no, I'll start it off. Vin, and I know you're like the crypto expert, but I won't talk about a particular coin, right? What I do want to talk about, and this is game changing in my opinion. I've been a finance person my whole professional career till I turned about 18. What's happening right now is you have decentralized finance, which is in its infantile stage, but it's based on the blockchain. It's based on the stable coins, like infantile cryptocurrency. And you have an opportunity right now to get in on the ground floor of what I think is going to be a major revolution in the finance sector, and that's decentralized finance. And Money Ave is a big part of that. That's really what we want to do. That's how we're going to disrupt JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, these big banks. We're going to decentralize finance and disrupt it. Now, what that means, right? Decentralized, without getting too intricate, basically it's a ledger that we're going to basically have to allow people to get extremely high returns on their savings, interest, high interest. So typically at a bank right now, you'd be lucky to get 1% interest on an annual basis. With our platform, when we get our digital wallet, our crypto wallet up and running, you're going to be able to get yields of over 10% per year just on savings, right? So if you're 60 years old and you have a lump sum of money, like you said before, and you're looking to get a decent return, we're going to have a product that is tailor-made for you. And for those people that are a little younger, that are looking to place bets and build wealth, with our D-Finance platform, you're going to be able to leverage borrow money as well as lend money. So if you have money, you can get on the platform and lend your money, lend your crypto, right? This is what's going to be coming down in the future, and that's going to remove banks from the system completely. That is a threat to JP Morgan Chase and all the billionaires and millionaires that are out there that are keeping us out, because every industry, there's gatekeepers and there's conscious decisions. If you look at people like Warren Buffett, they specifically are scared of technology. They don't want to invest in technology because they know that the time disrupt is not far away. So what they're trying to do is elongate the game. I just want people to get plugged in. If you got young people in your house, get tapped into technology. Understand what cryptocurrency is, understand what the blockchain is, and how powerful that is and how it can disrupt. So Vin, I know crypto is your thing, but I really feel like all of the young people that's out there, that is the next way to become a billionaire, is to really go out and disrupt these industries that need to be disrupted.
And just to piggyback off of what Don is saying, is really a great financial reset. You know what I'm saying? They're resetting the global financial, system right now. And it's like a lot of people coming up. I never really invested in stocks and bonds and Wall Street. I never understood that game. I would always say, hey, I could bank on myself. But as I'm getting older and I see they're transitioning the financial, system structurally, and I'm understanding the blockchain technology, which is really a ledger to authenticate everything that's going on. And now when you have blockchain and you're able to build applications on top of it, it's just a more legitimate way to track what everyone is doing. And like Don said, it decentralizes everything. You don't need the corporate gatekeeper there. And now you could do peer-to-peer business. You could do or take something like Bitcoin. It's just a new store of wealth. Just like they had gold and silver, you think to yourself, well, what is gold and silver? They mine gold and silver, they store it, and then they base that on their currency. When you look at it, Shah, all of this currency is made up anyway. And when they took, the Fed took gold and silver, or took our monetary system off gold and silver, now it's just the word of the federal government. Like that
Right. We
$100.
know we can trust them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's $100 now. So all of it is a transition. And I say a lot of people, I got a little nephew, he's about 21 years old. He opened up his Coinbase account and he had cryptocurrency. So a lot of young people who are searching for a way, they know unemployment is crazy out here. They're like at least diving in. So in our generation where we kind of shied away from stocks and bonds, a lot of our young people are not only studying the technology and signing up to be coders and build on the blockchain, they're actually investing their money now. And I think that's some of the best things that they could do for their children and their generational wealth, because it's definitely the new wave and it's not going anywhere.
You know what's blowing my mind, and I'm seeing athletes. They're telling some athletes are telling teams now, look, don't pay me in regular dollars. Pay me my $25 million contract plus in cryptocurrency, and they cashing out crazy.
Right. Or at least a portion of it. Right.
Right.
A portion of it. So give me part in cash and give me part in crypto that I designate based on my study and research. Give me what I designate. And, hey, they're going to have growth just on GP by holding it.
Man. This has been an amazing night. This, usually we talk about music, man, but it's very important to talk about more stuff, because this is the stuff that's going to set up our future. And I think you
And
guys. Oh, go ahead, Don.
If I could, I definitely want to, just add on a little bit about that, because
Absolutely.
of the news late, we've heard about, Jay-Z, his cash out. We've heard about Nas and the investments and the bets that he's placed. We firmly believe that is the way. It's about ownership. If you look at how Jay-Z's moving, Jay-Z is not looking for, he doesn't do endorsement deals with these companies. What he does is he gets equity in a lot of these companies that he's merged with, and the bets that he's placed over the years has made Jay-Z a billionaire. We look at what Nas has done with Coinbase. It's important that we talk about these pioneers in our industry and what they're doing. Not only the music, but the business moves behind what they're doing and why they're successful and why they're billionaires, right? So if you look at the way that wealth is created, a lot of the times we have to take a little bit of money, $10,000, $15,000, and place bets, literally place bets in companies that we strongly believe in. Because those $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 bets, like Nas, right? Somehow when he invested in Ring, that became a unicorn, and those bets multiplied 100 times forward, right? 100 times X. You got 100 times return. You're looking at 1,000% return on an investment. That's a small investment, but that's how wealth is created. And that's what we want to do. We really want to show people, peel the curtain back behind the secrets to wealth creation, the secrets to becoming a millionaire. And ultimately, many of us will take our talents and become billionaires off of that. And that's really what I think needs to be put forth in our community. We need to talk more about ownership. We need to talk about how we can multiply our wealth, how we can bet on it ourselves. If you have a business idea that you feel you could be scaled, we want to be the vehicle. When you come, you bank with us, and we'll invest in you if you have a scalable business. If you need money, if you need cash, you have no money, you're looking to start out, go get a line of credit with us. And that's not connected to your personal credit profile. 50,000, proof of concept, start your business, get on the path to build generational wealth. I just want to add on because I thought that the conversation got so deep, and you know, we all are of like mind, but I'm so excited about what we do and what you do, Sha. I think it's incredible as well. I just want to leave people with that before we exit.
Yeah, and I would even add on to that further. You know, what Nas is doing is that he's connected to Silicon Valley. So he has a venture capitalist group that he's a part of. So if you put money in a pot, so maybe the firm has $200 million in a pot. Nas is able to put his 5 million, 20 million into that pot. And now they're in Silicon Valley. So there's a bunch of people a bunch of startups looking to get finance. And when Ring comes along and when Coinbase comes along, his firm invests in those companies, and that's how you turn it over because he's part of a firm. So my thing is that this is all the maturation of hip hop. We're used to getting the money, running to the Benz dealer, running to the Rolls Royce, Lamborghini guy, running to the strip club, and literally wasting millions of dollars per year, where you could literally take $100,000 and invest in a VC firm and get a return on investment. And now you do own a portion of Ring. And when Ring turns over, you 10x, 20x, 1,000x that $100,000. So I think, Shah, that we've been in this game so long, and people are worried about reparations and their 40 acres and a mule. Hip hop culture is our reparations. It is our 40 acres and a mule, because it's leapfrogged us to have cash on hand. And with that cash on hand and that cultural clout, we equal influence. And you can't tell me that we can't go anywhere on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley and not have tops of heads of these firms who grew up on hip hop and would love to see us coming. It's just about where you choose to put your energy. So if you're going to be on the streets gangbanging and talking about what you used to do on the streets, or you're going to spend your time in the strip club just wasting your money, hey, that's on you. But it's out here. We have to be more educated. And I think this is just like Lauryn Hill put out the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. This is about the miseducation of hip hop. And now it's an education play moving forward, Shah. It's definitely an education play, because we can't say we don't have the influence. We can't say we don't have the cash. Now it's about multiplying and diversifying this cash, so we're really, really culturally relevant.
Incredible. We got to do more shows like this. I might have to have y'all come back every quarter, man, because everything is fast, is constantly and rapidly moving and changing. I'm gonna have to have y'all come back every quarter, and we got to build more like this, man, because these are the some of the most urgent conversations that we could have, not just in hip hop, but in the black community. Period. Because we don't talk like this. Everybody is on something else.
Right. Well, and I would definitely love that, Sha, because what we're doing with Money Ave, there's going to be progressive growth. This isn't a hit and quit thing. This is something that we're working on. Me personally, as being 50 years old, man, this is what we're working on, and this is our legacy that we're going to leave. And with you and I coming up, and I know that you've been one of the most influential journalists in hip hop. This is our legacy, and this is what we want to leave to future generations. So for us to come back quarterly, show the progress on what we're doing with Money Ave,
Mhm.
and continue to spread this knowledge and encourage more people, and even having you involved, and this is what I say about Money Ave. I'm using these tools as I speak. I'm using the tools for my businesses and turning other people on to these businesses or to these tools, because we get a different level of intimacy when we're talking about finances. Finances is really personal, but
Yeah.
I'm an open book. So I'm more than willing to share my ups, my downs, but I'm confident in the fact that I'm conscious of it. So I have no problem with sharing my mistakes, but I'm super proud of the fact that I'm working towards fixing everything. You see what I'm saying? And just like Jay-Z and them, I'm sure he has future goals. So you never finish the mission. You just keep building, 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 and everyone will be at different stages in the game. So for us to connect, come back quarterly, show the progress, share with the audience, and have them engaged. And now they're engaged, and now they're growing quarterly with us. It's just proof of concept. And this is what we have to do to leave the next generation, something to work with.
No, we locking that in. We definitely gonna have y'all back quarterly. I appreciate it. And Van, when I look at you, my brother, and um everybody in your group, I just say like, damn, these guys are really doing it right. Because you know we've heard so many horror stories about people, some of our favorite groups and everything, how they go against they have tough times. They have tough times, 10 years, 20 years after they start. Naughty's still going strong. If it wasn't for COVID, I know you guys would be on stage somewhere, right? Memorial Day weekend. Oh my God, I know y'all will be somewhere tearing it up this weekend. But outside of music, what you're doing financially, and how you're just so ahead of the curve. Actually, the conversation that you giving us tonight, you were actually years ahead of where people need to be. Don, you as well, my brother. Starting out Redhead Kingpin days, the box, the not video music box, but the box where we had to spend what, $2 to vote,
Right.
and TRL took that whole idea. God bless him. But to see your longevity in the game, and you guys are really just getting started. This is what we need to aspire to be. Then you don't look 50. You look actually how you did on the album cover. I don't know what type of True Blood that you're drinking out there, but this is where we need to aspire to be. As we grow older. Older but not old, you know what I'm saying? 50
Right.
years old, just really getting started, just really, really getting started. Like, these guys are going to be financial, kingpins in the very near future. So we got to get on that train. So
Yeah,
everybody.
definitely. And I think, Shad, a lot of times we become age locked because again, we
Mhm.
all started in our early 20s, you know.
Yeah.
And I always tell local government this, you know, we came off the streets, we blew up at 20, 21 years old. And when the streets were hectic because we had all of that street energy out there, you know, you remember that as politicians and as people running a community. But now we're literally 25, 30 years later, and we're 50-year-old men. So you can't have that mentality to think that we're the same reckless 21-year-olds, you know? And I
Hmm.
think hip hop in general has to take that into account. We're not the same 21-year-olds. We have to mature. And with that maturity comes responsibility. With that responsibility comes an education. It comes with sacrifice. Educate, inform yourself, sacrifice, and now you can position yourself where we don't have to worry about what someone isn't doing for us, because now I feel the playing ground is level now. We have guys who invested in the financial sector where we could create our own financial services, have access to these, and virtually have your own bank. So we could service our community. We could go and lock down lots of land and
Hmm.
develop our own communities and literally rebuild Black Wall Street. And we don't have to worry about someone coming to destroy us. So it's just a matter of where you put that energy. And I'm saying to our specific age group, 35 to even 65 years old, we all grew up in the golden ages of hip hop. It's time to change gears and think about like 100 years later. What legacy are we going to live now? Because we were here to document, we were here to contribute, we were here to build the foundation of hip hop. And hip hop is our 40 acres and a mule. Hip hop is our reparations. We've leveled the playing ground. Let's go. You know, from
Yeah.
finances to science to education to politics. You know, look at Sister Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and tons of unsung, you know, people who are in there fighting a good fight politically, man. This is what we deserve. So it's here. And I always say the glass is always half full. So let's rock out, man, and let's be grown. This is grown, adult, sexy hip hop we're talking about here.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. I want to thank my man A. Donahue Baker. Pleasure meeting you. We will definitely have y'all back on soon. Of course, Van Rock, my guy from many many years, man. I'm so proud just to be a part of this conversation, see what y'all doing, and I'm gonna dive in deeper. Money is moneyavenue.com.
Yes.
Yeah, you can sign
Moneyavenue.com.
up though for you can sign up for our app right now at bankmoneyav.com. That's the app, bankmoneyav.com. You can sign up, but our website is moneyab.com.
Okay. Everybody get into it while you this weekend watching the playoffs. You know, get that app, go to the website, do something for your future. You guys, Jersey guys, are y'all Nets or Knicks?
Oh man, I have an affinity for the Nets because they were in Jersey, but me, I'm all tri-state area teams. So Nets, Knicks, Mets, Yankees, the Jets, the Giants. I'm all in.
I'm pulling
Okay.
for the Knicks tonight, though. I'm pulling for, even though I don't condone cats spitting on Trey Young, but I'm pulling for the Knicks tonight, though.
No, that spin on trade that don't represent the New York pride and the New York glory. Y'all know that. So we're gonna see, man. Definitely appreciate y'all coming through. Vin, say what's up to the brothers for me, and we'll have y'all back on soon.
All right, cool. Thanks, Sean. We appreciate the look, brother.
Oh, be safe. Much love to both of y'all, man.
All right. Peace.